Popcorn world. Popcorn world. Yeah.
Can I make you groove now? Yes, I can. So you can get this groove in the back of a can. You can make it round the world when the holes in your hand. Popcorn world. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. I said popcorn make you smile. Ah. Popcorn world. Popcorn world. Popcorn world. Popcorn world. The popcorn world.
You're now listening to BLEAV in the ACC with Heisman Trophy winner and Florida State legend, Mr. Charlie Ward, Wave 3 TV, and Fern Creek Hall of Famer Kendrick Haskins, and Mr. Talking Noise himself, and of course Mama Noise's man, Lloyd Spence. And now, it's time for BLEAV in the ACC.
Well. Look what we have here. We left last week excited about the changes that were taking place in college football. Going to have a 12-team playoff. Felt good about some ACC teams getting in. We were thrilled at the prospects of change in the landscape of college sports. We had no idea we'd be here today. Ladies and gentlemen, Bill is a Tar Heel. That is Kendrick Haskins. That is the great Charlie Ward. I'm Lloyd Spence. This is BLEAV in the ACC. And our podcast just changed overnight.
Right.
To say the least.
Before we get started, big shout out to SMU and Clemson for crashing the college football playoff party. And now
we're gonna get
out of here.
We're gonna get to all of that because that was our lead story. That's where we were starting. We had a whole separate banner. Look at this. We had a whole separate thing. We were ready. Look how exciting that looks. Then we had to pivot last night and do that.
That's
Needless to say, so much to talk about. As well, listen. Wait a minute, Charlie. Can you?
Yeah,
That's a nice shirt, Charlie.
very nice hood.
And God bless you for winning it. It's amazing. It's exciting. It's one of one, actually.
And that was a Charlie Ward humble flex.
It's not often you can flex without even saying a word. Charlie, you are the man.
I don't understand it.
What do you mean?
Really?
Okay. You're right, Charlie.
I don't.
By
I
show of
understand
hands.
it.
Okay, by
don't.
show of hands here on this podcast, raise your hand if you have a Heisman shirt that was given to you by the Heisman people. Exactly. Does that bring clarity to it, Charlie, or do you need more?
No, I still don't understand.
Oh, that feels like willingness at this point. Well, speaking of things we don't understand.
Charlie's good at playing innocent.
Oh yeah. Speaking of things we don't understand, we heard some of this. Was it Friday or Saturday when this started leaking?
Started percolating Friday.
Friday. It started leaking out Friday. Hey, Bill Belichick had a meeting with North Carolina. Everybody's like, really? For what? Like is
I'm
it?
one of those though. As soon as I hear that there's interviews, I'm like, well, he's going to be hired in the next few hours. And so once
So
I
you
heard
would
it was
think?
me,
So you
I was
thought for
just,
sure this was a possibility?
yeah. As soon as I heard it was when that news gets out,
Yeah.
and then I'm like, because I mean,
Right. There's normally a process. Like,
yeah, both sides had to agree for the news to get out, and so once that news got out, I was like, it's a matter of time. And so
well,
when it became official, I was past the part of being surprised.
right. Well,
Right.
listen. For me, it's always the second meeting because the first meeting is just can be whatever it is. But when they have the second meeting and it's 5 hours, now we're just crossing. Now we're just crossing T's and dotting I's.
Right. And
Yeah.
when I first
Yeah.
heard it was a 5 hour meeting, I was like, oh well, that's good.
Yeah. At this point, we're just dotting I's and crossing T's. But still, it doesn't make it any less shocking. And then when you start to hear the reasoning behind it, it makes it even more shocking because you're like, how did you come to that conclusion? So obviously, let's dive in. So apparently, this is a school where Bill Belichick's father coached at in the 1950s. So he is not completely unfamiliar with this environment. And so I'm sure he's had relationships with them ongoing probably throughout the years. But to hear him say, I'd rather go, or I'll be willing to go to North Carolina instead of holding out hope for an NFL coaching job where he can go back to the NFL and break a record that he's only 14 games away from breaking, or essentially, let's say 2 seasons. This is a little surprising because obviously, in my humble opinion, Kendrick and Charlie, he has sent out some exploratory balloons or exploratory teams to find out what the temperature of the NFL is to him. And apparently, he probably has not gotten a good rapport. Now, you could argue some of this may be because of the, dare I say, frothy relationship that he now currently has with Robert Kraft. I mean, they cool, but they ain't like cool.
Right.
You know, right? It ain't what it used to be, right? And so maybe Robert Kraft. Now, this is us surmising. This is not sources. This is just us, as I like to say, looking at tea leaves. Maybe we're speculating. There you go. That's the word I'm looking for.
Speculate.
Right. Maybe Kraft has put a word out privately to owners. You will have success, but you will lose control. And do you want to lose control of your franchise? And so these are men that have amassed billions of dollars, and control when you have billions of dollars is everything. And I'm looking directly at you when I say that, Jerry Jones. And John Mayer to some degree.
Some degree.
Right. So I gotta believe for him to abandon something that I know he would like to have, which is the NFL winning his coach record. It has to be because at this stage, he has gotten something back that he is not proud to hear. So now let's start there, and then we'll work our way through the rest.
But what if the man just want a different opportunity, and maybe the record is not as big to him as we think? I mean, how about that? I mean,
How does Charlie Ward? Do you believe that?
I don't know. I
Okay.
think everyone. I think sometimes we look into people's past and try to say this is who they are, but sometimes it could be where he may not. I mean, you may be right when it comes to the temperature of the NFL and what have you. But I mean, essentially, NCAA or colleges turn into some form of it in a lot of ways.
Very important.
And he can still choose his players, run the organization like he wants to run it. It's just in a different environment where he has the control. If you want to talk about control, I mean, he's the CEO of the football program, even though he would need, in this day and age, he's going to need all the things that he'd had from an NFL perspective, minus the, the owner of the football team. I mean, he has to deal with the AD, but the AD is going to allow him to kind of do what he would like to do within, the framework of the program. Not putting their school in jeopardy. So I think this is kind of up his alley. But just like we talk about Bill Belichick, but just like any coach, I mean, you got to have the right people around you if you want to be successful. So, at some point, you got to have the spirit of collaboration if you're going to be thriving, and you can't be the be all, within the program. So I don't think that's where he is at this point. It may be some of that, but not all of that, if he wants to be successful. Now, we've seen coaches come and go really, really fast. So you talking about 2 years to be able to get, if he has success in North Carolina in some form of fashion, or no success, there's just, success in the sense of maybe a couple years where they're not performing at a high level, then he can always go back to the NFL if a opportunity presents itself.
Well, stay there for a second. Stay there for a second, because this is where maybe you and our paths diverge. Because two things you said, he can always go back, and also he's given up a measure of control, and this is where our paths are diverged. Because in my humble opinion, he has not given up the desire to be in control, because otherwise he wouldn't have taken this job. This job, he is going to have, like you just said, complete and total control. The AD the only thing the AD is going to do is sign the final purchase orders. And other than that, that'll be about as much control as the AD will have over the football program in North Carolina.
That's most programs, though.
Right, 100%. He will be Nick Saban. He will be Kirby Smart. He will run that program from top to bottom. And I think that is what was or is the quote unquote fear or hesitancy of an NFL program, Kendrick, is that they don't want to surrender as much control as he wants to have.
And that's what Greenberg's been talking about for the last 2 days. He's like, he thinks that's why Bill Belichick's not in the league right now, is because a lot of GMs don't want to give up that control, because Belichick's going to come in. He's taking all of that, and so, and really and truly, that's all we have to go on is tea leaves, and going with that from a selfish standpoint, as a long-suffering Cowboys fan, it makes me feel like that Mike McCarthy's probably coming back to Dallas
without question.
And because
without question,
there's who else is out there besides Belichick that So I think
I want to ask you this question, Kendrick.
Okay.
Lord.
Yeah.
When Bill Belichick had control,
that's where I was going, Charlie.
Started having control over the Patriots. What happened?
That's where I was going, Charlie. That you took the words right out of my mouth. I don't understand why an NFL team would not surrender control to a guy who has been to 9 Super Bowls and won 6 of them, and only lost 2 of them because of a fluky helmet catch and a fluky sideline catch. I'm just saying, I'm Charlie. This is what makes the whole thing to me before we even get to the college part, this is what makes the whole thing to me baffling. Because what has he done other than lose Tom Brady to not prove he isn't worthy of another opportunity? I do not understand that. I don't.
I think the last 2 seasons with the Patriots is being held over his head because, yeah, he lost Brady and done nothing since. Look at me, and then look at some of the decisions they like making Matt Patricia a lifelong defensive coordinator, the offensive coordinator. And I mean, there was a slew of just oddball decisions that was going on in New England after Brady left, and I think that's being held against him.
Okay. See, that's the point that I'm making. Like, before, I mean, when he's winning Super Bowls, there were other people in the mix, meaning a GM, those types of things. But when he started making, quote unquote, the decisions, and Brady was a part of that as well. I think Brady wanted to leave because of XYZ. So I just think it'll be interesting to see how he comes back from that, because as you just mentioned, some of the hires, some of the things that he was doing wasn't adding up to football sense, and then it showed on the field.
I mean, they ruined Mac Jones. I mean, I don't know how good Mac Jones is, but he didn't have every opportunity to succeed with some of the decisions they made up there in New England.
I think it's fair to say that post Tom Brady, Bill Belichick was highly disoriented. I think that's fair because he could not find his footing and bearing without one of the luxuries that he had with Tom Brady is that regardless of whatever else was going on that team, regardless of whatever the team was lacking, didn't have a running back, a wide receiver, this, that, and the other, the one constant he could count on is that his offense was going to be good. And it didn't matter what the receiving core or even the running game looked like. They'd figure it out because of the guy that was standing at the helm of the offense on the field. So when he lost that, there was a high level of disorientation, and he never seemed to get that back the last 2 years. So I think that's fair. I think that is a fair thing to say. But I think it is equally fair that even in what were the records? They had a 500 record. I think the first year that Tom was going, I think they had a sub 500 record the second year. I may be wrong about that, but they weren't winning records in those 2 years, right? And so I wonder if he has fallen that far off the cliff, or it's just because there was also this part of it, if the reports are true, that Robert Kraft wanted more control back in those 2 years that things were not going well. And so that's probably how the Matt Patricias and started coming back, because there was a familiarity with those guys, and let's see if we can, get some things that worked in the past back or whatever. So it makes you wonder, how much control did he really have at the end? I don't know. I honestly don't know that part.
No, I don't know, but I think Tom Brady leaving New England and immediately winning a Super Bowl, and then B, the Patriots
also disorienting, right?
Struggling the way they did. Like I said, the weird coordinator decisions that were being made.
Yes.
I think all of that has owners and probably GMs too thinking like, okay, this guy comes in and he's gonna, if all the reports are true that he wants total control of everything, why would I give total control of everything with the way the last few, all I can go on, yeah, he's been great, but I've got to go on most recent history, and the most recent history hasn't been too far. So Charlie Kendrick, is that an overreaction by the NFL? I don't think so.
I
Okay.
mean, this is like anything else. I mean, you have to choose people that you feel comfortable with leading your organization. And if that is not the case, then you don't do it. So no one has thought that much of it to bring him back.
Mhm.
And now he has his new opportunity in college to help, I guess, continue his winning ways. So I guess for him, regardless if it's the NFL, the NCAA, he just wants to be able to have an opportunity to coach, one,
Mhm.
two, rebrand himself. He is Bill Belichick, but also be able to rebrand himself. And as we mentioned, college sports is getting really close to NFL and professional sports in some
No
form.
question.
So it's not a far-fetched difference between the two. So I'll just be interested to see like who he brings on as staff, because that's going to play a big part in recruiting. He can go, yes, he will be able to go into homes and sell people because he's Bill Belichick, and a lot of people know who he is and want to be around him and probably potentially want to play for him because of his ties to the NFL and his success. So he'll get recruits based on that. Off the jump, I'll just say that we'll start. Year one, it'll be that way, and hopefully he'll have the success. And if he does have success with recruiting, then he'll go a long ways. But just like any program, you got to have the right coaches and the right quarterback. Just
So
FYI.
so let's stay there for a second, Charlie, because now this is where it gets gooder and gooder, as my old grandpappy used to say. It's gooder and gooder at this point. So to recap, for those of you who have not been awake, the North Carolina Tar Heels fired a 73-year-old coach to hire a 70-year-old coach,
72.
uh, 72-year-old coach.
Belichick
So
is 72.
Yes, sir.
yes,
Oh Lord.
Right.
so to be fair,
I was like
we
that
just
in presidents.
so to be fair, Charlie Ward just had his Kevin Hart Don Cheadle moment just now. Oh Lord. Listen, that's the part to me that may be the most surprising and shocking of it all. Now, Kimberly Martin, God bless her, may have had the most impressive and gangster line of all on yesterday's show in saying that, and I quote, Bill Belichick clearly has no problem relating to the younger people, and that is
Been a running joke all week.
it's a tongue-in-cheek remark on his current dating status. And I'll just say,
He's not married.
no.
Are they engaged?
I don't know if they're engaged. They may be engaged. I don't know the status of their relationship, but they've been together for a couple of years, I think.
Years now, yeah.
Yeah, and she is
So who is
quite
this?
his junior.
She's like 24.
Yeah, she's quite his junior.
What?
I love breaking this news to Charlie.
So we have a couple of breaking news stories to Charlie this morning. Yes.
Yes,
So
let's go.
he is dating a young lady who is, I believe you are correct, Kenny, in that she's about 24 years old.
That is crazy.
Well, it is unique in every way, Charlie.
Like I said, it proves he can recruit the younger generation.
He has no problem recruiting the younger generation. Apparently, he does have a level of relatability. But that's out there. So now you are parent A with 5-star player B and Bill Belichick comes to your house with that on the table, I'm just gonna be honest with you, man. I'm just gonna be honest with you, man. That is a wildly uncomfortable recruiting trip. Because
His parents ain't gonna care. Bill Belichick coming there with his Liberace 6 rings and all that. Get all of that.
he would have to. He would have to because I don't know. To me, I know North Carolina feels as though they have made the home run higher. I know they are just dancing in the streets in Chapel Hill. If I am being completely transparent here, and we try to do that every time we open the studio doors of Believe in the ACC, this does not feel like it's a home run. It feels like a gamble that could pay off if a lot of things fall in place. And I mean a lot of things have to fall in place properly for this to work.
But this hire is this hire is no different than any other hire. When it's all
Charlie, you know that's not true. You know that's not true.
It is true. I mean,
Right
we don't
now,
know.
Charlie.
We're speculating that what he has done is not going to transfer over to college.
Charlie, there's a reason why people don't hire 72-year-old coaches, and there's a reason why he's the only one.
He's the oldest coach in college football now.
He's the only 72-year-old coach.
So you're going to tell me if Nick Saban decided to come back and coach, nobody will hire him?
I think the difference being it's recent success.
So it's not the age.
College level.
It could be the age with Nick too. 73 and Nick is 73.
So I'm just saying. So you saying if Nick Saban decided, hey, I want to coach again in college, nobody will hire him.
I mean,
because he's 73.
There's top 10 programs that have fired their current coach.
That's 100. That's my point. So it's really not about the age piece. It's we don't know. Like he may, and then again, Coach Bowden coached it like he was 80. But
yeah,
I mean, it depends on how the game ages you. You know, and you're talking about him dating a 24-year-old. I mean, so of course he has something.
He feels young.
To where he has a little spunk. Has a little spunk about himself. So I mean, you know, it's one of those deals where
he's got spunk.
He could continue. He can continue at least 5 years. I don't know what the contract looks like.
It's a 5-year deal. It's a 5-year deal.
So he can
call us Bluetooth.
No, that's 77. That'll help keep it from aging too early.
The age thing that really concerned me with him, because by all accounts he's a young 72, because everybody he talked to, like behind the scenes, that actually knows Bill Belichick, they say he's a total goofball. He just puts on, you know, his straight face when he's dealing with us. But that's not the part that bothers me or gives me pause when it comes to him. What gives me pause is he's never done this. And he's doing it at 72. That's the part that concerns me more than him being 72. He's never dealt with recruiting. I mean, you can't coach an 18, 19-year-old kid the same way you coach a 25, 26-year-old man.
But I think I'm not sure in that area as well.
Huh?
But I'm okay. I'm going to say the quiet part out loud. There's a vast difference coaching Devin McCourty, who is from Rutgers, than it is coaching Johnny Jackson, who's from the hoods of Compton, and has not had time to refine and mature, and you know that is completely different. Those are, and they require two totally different skill sets. So
go even further with that, Lloyd. Coaching, dealing with player at the NFL level, you're dealing with the player and the player's agent, and probably more the agent than you are really the player when it comes to the business side. College,
Right.
you're dealing with player, agent, mama, cousin Nook.
And it's a totally different skill set. Yeah.
And like does he may have it? We don't know. We don't know. We don't know. It's
Like I said, he has to make sure. He has to make sure that he has the right people around him. I mean, and that's with every coach. I keep saying this. I mean, that's with every coach. The coach,
Here you twang.
the coach is the head of the program, but you got to have people that are going to be the hands and feet of the program, and you're going to give them the direction and those types of things, and that's where the success is going to lie. Because if you can get it, you can help get people in the door by who your head coach is, but you got to be in the door.
Right.
And the other thing we will find out is how relatable he is to just the general student, or player, I should say, at the university, because kids still need father figures and those types of things, and so I don't know where he is in that arena when it comes to being relatable.
I think he'd be all right on that part, on that end.
But we'll see.
We'll see.
I'm scheduling right now us BLEAV in the ACC to open our football season at the UNC pep rally where Bill Belichick will address the student body on the future of UNC football. I cannot wait for that.
Glad everybody's here.
So
we're on Cincinnati.
I just looked at what
I didn't know I had that in me.
I know that's fantastic.
What is his son position? Like, what is he?
His son is he at Oregon right now? I think that's where he is.
You may be correct on that. I honestly do not know, but I shout out to Antoine Ray there with a phenomenal comment there, and that may be true.
No, I've heard that. I have heard that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That
I
to
heard
me,
that.
that sounds more believable than anything else.
He does 5 years at North Carolina, establishes the program and foundation, and then hands it off to his son. Makes a lot of sense.
I wouldn't doubt if he didn't do 5 years.
Right, he may not do 5. You're right.
Washington, yeah, you're right. Washington. I knew it was over on the West Coast somewhere in the Big Ten. Yeah, he's at Washington now. He just did his first year over at Washington. He's been around. His son has, but he's been under Bill the whole time. He's got his 1 year away from him. I mean, kind of feel like his son needs to kind of spread his own wings, but we'll see.
Well, I mean, but you know what? If you can help your son out, I'm not mad at a little nepotism.
And his son might be fine, but I'm just saying, it's like I feel like his son could have. I felt like his son kept coaching and got away just to spread his wings, and now he's kind of like going back to the nest.
My concern is his son has a mullet, right? He wears a mullet.
Yes,
is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so is that a relatable hairstyle in 2024?
It is these days. He came
back. Okay, I don't know. I'm not a mullet expert. I don't know.
Anything is relatable in these days.
Right.
Well, it'd be interesting to see. I mean, it's a good topic to talk about, but
the crazy thing is, and I love Dan Orlovsky. He's one of my favorite guys on ESPN. But he's already talking about college football playoff and all that stuff. I'm like, man, pump the brakes, dude. Let's get the contract signed first.
for you to think that there's not a learning curve for this, right? You wildly missed the mark on this one. I think anybody thinking that he's going to come in first year and dominate.
Because Hampton, their main offensive weapon is gone, right?
That is correct.
I guess he could come back.
Right, he may change his mind. That's a great point, because I'm sure he was not aware that he was going to miss out on an opportunity to be coached by Bill Belichick. So he may come back. That is a great point.
But he had Mac Brown as a coach.
Who's an
That
offensive
did
coach.
well, right. And by the way, is a good offensive coach. One thing that North Carolina did not struggle with in the time that Mac Brown was there was putting up points. They just couldn't stop anybody.
Now I
Right.
feel like it's going to be vice versa.
Probably going to be the opposite at this point.
Because like Tom Brady, I mean, part of what makes Tom Brady great to me is when you look at his list of receivers that he threw to over his career, outside of the outlier with Randy Moss, and prayers up for
Right.
Randy. I mean,
Yeah, very much so. Yes.
I mean, he's throwing a Gronk who developed into one of the greatest tight ends ever, but it was Gronk and Troy Brown, my boy Dion. Not exactly.
To the pod.
Not exactly.
Yeah.
Not exactly gold jacket guys and good guys. Don't even get me wrong. I don't want to diminish their careers, but he wasn't throwing to Jerry Rice, and so
No.
that's the part of me that, to me, that's part of what makes Tom Brady great. He's like he was doing this without, and then he name a running back. Name his running backs that he had. I mean,
I barely remember any of them. If I'm being honest, I barely remember any of them. Listen.
What made Brady great to me.
Shout out to North Carolina for taking the risk. Let's be very clear about that. This is a massive risk, and it could pay big dividends. Is him being in somebody's living room a slam dunk? I don't believe that it is. I think it will be impressive to say that Bill Belichick sat in your living room, but with the Liberace rings on, the rings and things. But he'll be there with the Liberace rings and things. But I just don't know if it's a slam dunk hire. Now, and the other part of that is if you're North Carolina, well, you know what? If you're North Carolina, there's no loss, there's no bad side to this. Because you wasn't that great without him. So if you're the same, if you're still 500 or barely having 8 to 9 win seasons with him, that's about where you are now anyway. So it doesn't really matter. So, you know, that part is low risk. I guess now you probably out a lot of money because I can't imagine I haven't heard the numbers yet. But I'm sure it's more than $3 to $5 million a year.
I wondered though if Belichick, if some of his salary will go over to NIL, because that's what Oklahoma State was trying to do to Gundy. I haven't heard the latest on that, but that's what they were wanting. They was like, we're gonna cut your pay. Right, right, Antoine. That's what the Oklahoma State wanted to do. Is they wanted to cut his pay, and his difference in pay would go to NIL. I haven't heard if he agreed upon that. But I wonder if Belichick would do something similar to that, because one thing Belichick does not need is money. And so
he's doing all right. He might need it now. He might need it now because he has newer needs.
True.
What's newer
right.
needs?
24.
I mean, 24-year-old, you got to pay for that, Charlie. You can't just.
What do you mean?
Charlie, you got to pay. Charlie, you got to pay for. You got to keep her happy. He's 24. You want to do stuff.
Whatever. That's time for another show, but
wine.
I don't see him being a money type guy. Like
me, that's why I think I can see him giving some of his salary over to NIL.
Yeah, he just seems like he's easygoing. He does take vacations and those types of things. I'm not saying that, but it doesn't seem like a really, really flashy guy.
No.
From the outside looking in, and so whatever, not whatever, but you know he'll receive a nice salary, but I don't think that's the biggest driving factor. I think he has other things that he want to accomplish besides how much money he's going to make.
Well, I'll say this. If he wants to win year one, they're going to have to pay for it. They're going to have to absolutely pay for it. Like, the checks are going to have to come to get people to North Carolina. That's no shade on North Carolina. It's just the reality of where we are in NIL.
That's every school.
Exactly. Which brings us to a nice segue as we review the new transfers that are going on. Charlie, you'd be the perfect person to ask this question to. So, Your Seminoles shocked us all
The big splash, Charlie.
and took the starting quarterback from Boston College, Thomas Castellanos. Charlie, your thoughts?
Well, I'll just say this: I will support them in their decision making, but I'm not a big fan
Wow. Wow.
of it.
Wow.
To me, unless he improves his passing and accuracy and those things, we're going to be disappointed. And I just hope we didn't spend a lot of money on it. This is me from outside looking in. I think he's a very good quarterback, but I don't think he's one that can elevate an offense to the next level at this point of his career.
Let's see.
I think it's early to jump on a new quarterback because the transfer portal just opened. It's going to be plenty more quarterbacks to hit the transfer portal. I think you could have waited on that one.
Like I said, I think there, like you said, there are others, but he hadn't shown me the ability
Like Duke's
to elevate a offense. Outside of it just running. And in this day and age, you need a guy who can move, but also you need one that's accurate, know to go to football, can make plays outside the pocket, like a Cam Ward. You know, I mean, those guys are dime a dozen, but somebody that's close to him that may not be Cam Ward, but you know they can move, but they also can make plays when you need them. He may be that guy. I don't know, but to me, over the years, he hadn't shown.
He has not shown that
100%. To be his MO.
But maybe he can fit Gus Malzahn's system.
I hope so.
Maybe because Malzahn does like a mobile quarterback. So
I'll say this:
Bryce Plumlee, I think whatever his name is, that at UCF, and he did well. He did well enough, I should say. We'll see. I just hope they didn't spend a lot of money.
I'll say this: this feels eerily similar to the move they made last year. Like, I'm not sure what's the difference, because you can say the same thing that you're saying about Castellanos is the same thing that we could say about DJ Uiagalelei. He's a quarterback that never developed the things that you needed to be consistent. And Castellanos is exactly the same way. So I'm wondering, I'm just going to say this so Charlie doesn't have to. It's starting to feel like there's an evaluation issue as it relates to the quarterback position at Florida State. Because, and by the way, shockingly, I don't know why there would be, because you have a tremendous evaluator of quarterbacks in your pipe. You have several evaluators of quarterbacks in your pipeline that can help you with this process. So I don't understand why I understand you want to make your mark and it's your program and you can do what you want to do. But if you are historically now struggling to find consistent guys in this area, I don't think it's a bad thing to reach out to your pipeline and ask for some assistance. Right. But again,
I'm not the one to call and ask. I'm just
100%. I know you're not going to do that, but you would not reject the phone call either, though, Charlie.
I try to stay out of those. I mean, I do send guys, but that may be interested. But nonetheless, I just think they're, like, as Kendrick mentioned, it's early, and there may be others that may I just don't know if this is the right thing for us right now. To get us over the hump. He may
So
be great.
let me ask you about two guys real quick. And this is all ACC relevant because Kendrick said it. Malik Murphy hit the portal. Also, Fernando Mendoza hit the portal. Would those have been better options based on what we saw this year than maybe Cassiano was?
Yes.
Yeah, especially Malik. Yeah.
And I don't know what they were asking. I know even Mendoza to me was solid, but I don't see him as a Malzahn type of guy.
Malik feels like he fits it. Malik feels like he would fit Malzahn.
Has Haynes King?
I don't know if Malik is a runner because they like to run the quarterback, which I'm not a big fan of. Like on counters, you know, if you got that type of player, then yes. But if you don't, I'm not trying to run the quarterback that way. But I'll be interested to see how they handle Castellanos?
Castellanos, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the L is silent.
Castellanos.
Yeah, Castellanos, yeah.
So I'll be interested to see how they handle him, and you know, who else? Because I mean, we're talking about him, but who else is going to be there?
Well, there's one name There's one name that I haven't mentioned. I don't think he's landed yet. I could be wrong, but you guys correct me. But this guy is also in the portal.
Right.
Now, let me be clear. His price is not. I'm sure it's not cheap.
Right.
Because everybody saw what he did in that Georgia game, so I'm sure his price is not cheap. And maybe he outpriced himself to come into Florida State. I don't know, but he is out there.
Haynes King would be a good fit in Michigan.
I think Haynes King would be a good fit in a lot of places. He's gonna have his pick of where he wants to go for sure.
But he has to improve his passing.
100%.
He's strictly a runner.
100%.
I mean, he's okay passer, but not one that's going to elevate a offense to go to the next level. That's the thing I keep trying to bring up into all of these things. You know, when you're looking at quarterbacks, you need one that can elevate an offense. And if you're trying to get to that next level,
right?
Where if your offensive line is not really, really good, how can that quarterback elevate that offensive line? If your wide receivers aren't like the best, how can you make them better? Whatever that looks like. And so, of course, there's some of that's coaching as well. But, you know, the quarterback position, you need that guy that, you know, let's look at Cam Ward, for instance. I mean, we said this, not this past season, but the year before, Miami was just like a quarterback away. I mean, they were playing with all these other guys, and they were struggling with those guys that we didn't know. And then Cam Ward comes over, and they're 10 wins, you know, whatever the number is. And of course, their defense fell off a little bit from the year before, but he elevated the offense or the team enough to be able to win games, you know, late. And so I just think those are the type of quarterbacks, you know, if you're going to get to that next level, and then they have to be a top name guy, but you need someone that has that gene, as one of my players said yesterday about a guy having a clutch gene. But
yeah, got the clutch gene, you know.
It's, you know, you got to have those type of clutch genes, and I don't know. Have we seen him like take Castellanos, take his team to that next level? That's just my take.
I think
Boston College kind of took off after he left.
Yeah, I think Haynes is leveraging that Georgia game. And by the way, he played about as well as you can play, but he's Taysom Hill right now. He is the college version of Taysom Hill. And I don't know how far a team can actually go with a guy who has it appears, again, we're just going off this one season. It appears he has very limited passing skills. Like he doesn't read particularly well as it relates to the passing game. If a guy's not open, he doesn't really hit him well. So it's his wide open. I can hit you wide open, and I can run the ball well. So if you want to run that offense, then, but he'll end up somewhere high profile probably.
Definitely.
Yeah. So
I think he definitely.
what do you guys think about also Darian Mensah, who was Tulane's starting quarterback, now is at Duke. So they were.
See, to me, I like him.
Yeah.
And I like Duke picking him up. I think that was a great pickup for them.
100%.
I think that's why Malik left.
Well, I like him.
Mm-hmm.
He's a very good quarterback to me. Now, whether he does well at Duke, I don't know, which I think he can because he's very similar to a Malik Murphy in a lot of ways. But he elevated Tulane, gave them an opportunity to win games, made good decisions. He can move enough. So I think I like that pickup by Duke for sure.
I think they got better. I'll be honest with you. And that's no shade to Malik. I think Malik had a great season, but I think Malik benefited from a great team being around him and a great Duke's defense was far better than we all thought it would be.
I would say their defense was the catalyst for their season.
Way better than we thought it was going to be. Like they really rose to the occasion this season. But I think they got better with this hire and with this signing. And I'll even say this: if they can find him someone to throw to, they can make some noise next season. They absolutely can make some noise because the kid is solid. He's a solid quarterback.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. The only other one, there are others, but the only one that really made impact on me as far as I know the linemen are going. There's a couple of great linemen that are leaving their schools, but the one that really kind of caught my attention also because to me is the new Zay Flowers is Kevin Concepcion. I think this kid has a lot of ability.
He left.
Just don't. Yeah, he transferred out.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm gonna be honest with you, Charlie. I get it because I don't know when he's gonna get it. I think he saw the Zay Flowers writing on the wall. It said, "Man, I got to get out of here if I want somebody to throw me the ball."
Hold on. Where's Zay Flowers?
Oh, Zay, listen, it worked out for Zay.
No. I'm asking.
We
threw Zay out there. So where's Zay Flowers now?
It worked out Zay for that he's at the Ravens.
He's with the Ravens, right?
He's doing well.
Okay, I'm just curious because we say Zay Flowers, you threw him out there, and Concepcion. Zay Flowers stayed at Boston College and endured all that pain of suffering of not having a quarterback to throw to him, and Zay Flowers ended up in the NFL. So I'm just saying. I understand this new age of I need to go somewhere else to get to. I understand that age. We're in that age now. But I'm just saying, the man could have stayed at NC State. He still would be in the NFL.
Yeah.
If that's what he chooses to do.
And my pushback to you is slightly this. You are 1,000% correct. But Zay Flowers would have never fallen to the Ravens had he had a better quarterback at Boston College. Never.
hold on.
It
That
worked
man,
out for him tremendously well.
I like a lot of people. I mean, it's a catch
Yes.
because Zay Flowers could have been on a team where he didn't have a quarterback and they're losing now, as opposed to being at the
With Jerry
Ravens
Jeudy.
Yeah, it worked out perfectly. Yeah, absolutely.
falling to the Ravens. To
Yeah.
me, I'd rather fall to a great team
Right.
than be
Great point.
highly paid on a bad team. When I'm a couple years removed, I'm ready to go somewhere else.
Like Jerry Jeudy. He
Great
went to the
example.
Broncos. Broncos, their quarterback situation wasn't great. And now, well, he went to Cleveland. Their quarterback situation wasn't great either. Now he's got famous Jameis throwing it to him. So it's the same thing. Yeah, it's like Charlie said. I mean, he had a great college career, but fell to a team that didn't have a quarterback, and he's been struggling. So it worked out for Zay.
Worked out perfect. So this is a good question, and I think we should. Charlie, we want to give you the opportunity to answer this. Pastor Cord, who's the official pastor of Noise Entertainment, said, "Charlie, for a high school quarterback going into a senior year next season, what is the one piece of advice you would give him before going to the next level?"
Next level, meaning college.
Yeah, going to college. Yes.
Well, this is advice I always give quarterbacks. One, you have to know your system, because, and it's something I always talk to our guys about, in preparation. When you know what the other team's doing, is a lot easier to compete against that team. One. Two, you have to, as we talk about, elevate your team. They have to see you working. Like, you have to be one of the leaders if you're talking about elevating your team. In the classroom, in the weight room, film study, community, all those things. You have to be visible in those areas. And then you have to work on your craft. Like, when we talk about accuracy, one is you got to know where you're going to football, but the other one is you got to be able to hit your target. And so preparation for hitting your target, whether it's getting with a quarterback coach or someone that's going to be out there for you to throw the football to, whether it's live players, your players mainly, hopefully the guys you're playing with, those things are very, very valuable as well. So always, it's easier said than done, but if you know your system, it's a lot easier to be successful in that system, because we always hear this quarterback, being a coach on the field, that is invaluable. Like, as a coach, if you know your quarterback knows the same things that you know, and are on the same page, I should say, it makes life a lot easier for the team. And what that is preparing that athlete for is for the next level. Because once you get to the next level, you're going to have some foundational things that you can continue to build on. And what you do in high school will only put you that much closer to being able to play your freshman year in college, because you're prepared, you're ready. You talk about the best quarterbacks in this day and age, they've done a lot of training in their younger years.
Yeah.
To get them to where they are today. I mean, you take any of the top quarterbacks, I guarantee you none of them just popped up. Like, they've been training and doing things, in middle school, all through high school, going to different camps to challenge themselves, and seeing what's out there, who they're competing against. All those things are very, very valuable as well.
There it is. Nothing needs to be added to that. So we will keep pushing forward, fellas. We saw the CFP, the first 12-team college football playoff bracket was set on Sunday. Did they get it right is the question.
I think they got it as right as they could. I
Yeah.
think that was the best scenario they could do. They could come up with right there. I don't have any problems with it.
Yeah. The thing that the everyone keeps talking about. See, this is why I was so excited about this whole deal. Because as you know, our grandparents have always said, God don't like ugly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
When was it last year? Or I don't know, it was maybe last year, the
Mhm.
SEC and the Big Ten came together
Yeah.
to draw what the CFP looked like.
Mm-hmm.
The rules and regulations around it, how many teams each conference was potentially was going to have, spots they were going to have, and the whole nine. That was like the deal. I was just so happy when the SEC only got 3 teams in,
Mm-hmm.
because there was other teams out there in different conferences that had better seasons. Well, regardless of who they played, that's not the issue. Everybody in those conferences played conference schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And outside of Boise, I mean, Boise played conference schedule, but it wasn't in the what they call a Power Four or whatever it is. And so I was just happy that they didn't go and not reward what we consider winning in one of the Power Four conferences and kicking a team out that deserved to be in, like they did last year when it was just 4 and they kicked the team out that was deserving to be there.
Right.
That was in a Power 4 conference, or at that time Power 5, but they didn't go back to the politics.
Right.
And that was my biggest thing, was we just keep going to the politics of it as opposed to being fair.
I don't want to give them a total pass on that either, Charlie, because if SMU had won, Alabama would be in this playoff.
100%.
If they would have won,
If
they would have won,
Yeah.
they 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
they got it right because the kid played out that way. It wasn't.
Well,
Well, shout out to SMU for making it a game, because the other thing to that point you just made is, had SMU not made it a game,
Mm-hmm.
Alabama still would have been in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they would. I think they would have found a way to get them out. So I shout out to both SMU and Clemson for basically putting on arguably the best game of the day. It was a great game.
That's not arguing. All the rest of the games.
Yeah. Yeah, there was only 2 good games: Georgia, Texas, and Alabama, I'm sorry, not Alabama, but Clemson, SMU. So shout out to them for putting on a great game. And so I agree with you, Charlie. I agree with you, Kendrick. I think also, and this can't be lost on the moment. They know they would have opened up a Pandora's box had SMU played the way that they did and they not got into it, because now you're basically telling everybody your conference championship game really does it can get you kicked out regardless of how great your season is. It can get you kicked out of the playoffs, and so that would be the there's already been noise about that anyway. So now it's a red flag if SMU played as well as they did and only lost because a freshman kicked a 56-yard field goal. And now they're out the playoffs. That would have sent a terrible message.
And I'll give them credit because they did say, and they stuck to their word, they did say that a conference championship game won't hurt you if you lost at it. And they proved it.
Right.
Everybody made the conference championship game is in the playoffs.
Now, I did find it interesting that SMU remained in front of Clemson.
Right.
That's
because of the body of work.
Right.
And
that was interesting.
I was just curious to
Clemson
see
played the home game too.
Arizona State and Boise Like
Arizona State, I think it's for real.
I agree. I'm not saying that, and I think they've kind of flown under the radar, in my opinion, the entire year. They only have 2 losses. Like
Right.
we're sitting there around thinking like they have 3 losses or 4 losses or whatever the case may be, but they only have 2 losses.
Right.
And they're kind of flying under the radar. To me, they're the scariest team, in this one of the scariest teams, should say in this deal. And people still aren't giving them any credit. I mean, they may not pan out. I don't know, but that's all these teams. I mean, we don't know how this thing's gonna shake out because every team has lost this year and had their bad moments. And we've seen where it just takes one game, to get knocked out.
Charlie, out of the 12 teams, I can make a legitimate case for at least 8 of them to say they can win it. It's only a couple of them I don't think can win it.
Can I throw something out that is not going to be popular preaching, but I don't know if I'm wrong.
Preach it, Pastor.
If I had to pick a running back, I don't know if I wouldn't pick Scatterbo over Genty.
You crazy.
I like Scatterbo. I'm gonna just tell you the truth, man. I like Scatterbo. I like Scatterbo. I like that toughness. I like that physicality, and that toughness and physicality translates very, very well to the next level.
You know who else does that in the cold weather and not down in Arizona? I mean, I like Scatterbo. No disrespect to him, but yeah, Genty's that man.
Well,
he's gonna look good on his helmet next.
I think that's what you're doing.
Apple to apples. I mean, they're both very good running backs.
Yeah,
so they really are. They are.
You can't go wrong with either one of them, in my opinion.
I think Scatterbo is may have played himself. I don't know if he's gonna go first because it might be a stretch to take him in the first, but don't wait long to take him. I think
he'll be in the first couple rounds.
Don't wait long to take him.
I love Arizona State's coach's story. I think he's gonna be one of those guys. He's probably going to be a lifer there, which I think is going to be awesome for college football. I mean, the guy literally grew up down the street from the stadium. Literally grew up a fan, and he's gone from the seats to the sidelines. And his story, and he's a young guy too. So he doesn't look much older than Scatterbo.
Right. He'll be a lifer as far as if the team that he has grown up loving will love him back.
Oh, they're in Arizona. They'll love him back.
Well, but no, I'm saying they got to love him back.
No, that's what I'm saying.
I'm saying they probably need to start loving him right now. Like that extension needs to be there before he goes and play this game this weekend or in 2 weeks.
True.
So, yeah, don't mess around just because somebody loves you, don't mean somebody else can't love you more.
I think they'll do the right thing. And I don't think he'll want to leave to go somewhere else for more money. I don't know him. I know him, but I don't know him being that way. If Arizona State shows that they're working towards the same goals, and somebody comes in and say, we'll offer you more money, I can't say for sure that he will leave in this day and age.
I hope he stays. I hope he's a lifer.
I think he sees Arizona State as his dream job because that's where he played. I mean, not played, but it's went to school. It'd be hard for me to see him leave to go somewhere else for more money. When I think his school will give him a nice bump. Personally.
And they have money. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
They have money. It's not like they're going to be struggling in like Colorado situation. I don't think they'll be in that type of situation.
Well,
Arizona State.
Write
the check.
Deion has elevated Colorado, so
yeah. But when they first signed him, though, they didn't have the money that they signed him to. Right. I don't think Arizona State's going to have that problem.
Arizona State, write the check. Don't play with this.
They will.
Because yes, I hope he doesn't leave either. I would like to see more lifers in college sports. I would.
I mean, Louisville probably has one.
Yeah, Louisville. I think Louisville has their lifer now, and I'd like to see more guys stay for longer than 5 minutes. I really would. But I also know you if you can't be with the one you love the one you're with. And so that's how that works. Okay, real quick, let's run through our championship week game results. We clearly didn't understand who Jackson State was.
Apparently, Western didn't either.
And which is shocking because apparently Western played them, and I guess I don't know.
They beat them the week before.
They not by that much though.
No, they beat them by 2 points the week before, and decided to stop. They could not stop the running game. Jacksonville State had 2 running backs over 100 yards. They ran for over 300 yards in that game.
Yeah, it was a wild game. It was the Friday night games weren't great.
So who did I pick?
I think
Charlie's like, just cut through the mess.
No. We all got Jackson State on that. We all went right on that. Yeah.
I thought that's who I picked.
Yeah, but we didn't know. I just was shocked that the score was what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Boise State dominated UNLV. Well, Ashton Genty dominated UNLV.
UNLV had their chances late.
They did.
Boise State's defense came up big at the end of that game.
Yeah.
I was surprised by this score.
This was surprising. This was very surprising.
But Army's, like we said, though, Army.
You picked Tulane. Yeah.
Army was Army.
Yeah. Army was Army. Yep. On Saturday, the early games were not the most exciting. Ohio beat up on Miami of Ohio. You got that one, Charlie. Me and Kendrick missed on that one. The home advantage did not mean anything to Ohio. And this ended up being pretty much exactly what you thought it was. If you saw Iowa State the week before and you saw Arizona State the week before, this score was not surprising at all.
I wish they would have had another team in that would be probably a little bit more competitive. There's a couple more teams that could have at least competed.
They can't. They like slid in through the back door on that one.
Yeah, it really needed to have been Colorado or
BYU.
But it would have been a better game.
Lloyd, your time theory failed again.
It fell. It actually fell on this one. It fell. It fell on this one. It fell on this one. It definitely fell on this one.
There's a noon Eastern time kickoff in Arizona State. 9 a.m. their time.
Yeah. Did not work at all. 100%. Marshall and Louisiana. Also,
you skipped Georgia.
No, well, I was saving it, Charles. I was saving it. Yeah. Because this one wasn't a great game either. And once again,
it's a build-up.
Yeah, it's a build-up. Yeah. And by the way, once again, the home field meant nothing. Absolutely nothing. But this was an interesting game because I wasn't aware that Marshall was losing their coach.
I
wasn't either. Apparently,
I forgot where he's going.
Wherever he's going, he's taking the whole team with him because the whole team hit the portal.
The whole team, that's where I was going. The whole team hit the portal. So Marshall got to start the whole team is in the portal. They got to start all over.
What?
Yeah.
Who's giving up scholarships these days?
the whole team hit the transfer portal.
I guess wherever he's.
He can't take his whole team.
He may not be taking his whole team, but they all hit the portal once he left.
That's crazy.
Yeah, the team is gone. So
come back. I would imagine a lot of them will come back if the next coach wants them.
I don't know. I've been in Huntington. They might not come back.
I've driven through Huntington. It's not bad.
I spent significant time in Huntington because it was right down the street.
Somebody need those opportunities.
No, 100%. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that situation. We'll find out before we leave the air where the head coach is headed. This was a phenomenal game. with a lot of highs, a lot of lows, and an interesting ending to say the least. And it set up a very interesting scenario going for the college football playoffs because I would think that barring a miraculous and Jesus-like healing, I don't believe that Carson Beck is going to be playing on January 1st.
He won't.
Right. And so
I mean that one hand snap and handoff didn't give you.
can I just can I say something to that real quick? When he ran in the game, it baffled me that Texas didn't go load up the box. I'm like
100. That's what Hope and I was talking about.
It's like, what are you doing?
There's only one thing this guy's doing. He's there to hand off the ball. That's it. That's the list.
And they didn't hit gaps. The linebackers were standing in the end zone.
Not
Charlie,
enough was made of that ending.
Right. Charlie, I was stunned. I was like, when he ran in with his arm dangling and swinging, I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, there's no way this play works. There'll be 11 guys in the box.
Hey, you know what? If we're being honest, it's going back to Charlie. If you hold up Texas's resume and take off their name, do they make the playoffs?
Ooh.
But they only have 2 losses though, right?
Yeah, but
the 2 losses are to Georgia.
Right.
The only good team they played.
but they played the SEC schedule, so they played some other teams that they had to win. Alabama lost to Vanderbilt and Oklahoma. So when you start looking at, and that's my other thing is when you start looking at these teams, and them winning games, it's not easy. Like people think winning is easy. We tell our guys that all the time after wins. Like, hey man, regardless of who you play, winning is not easy because
winning is not easy.
You can get beat at any moment. So you have to go out and put that on the court, the field, whatever it may be. And so, yes, a lot of these schools do get passes because of who they are and their history. But if that is where you are, you know what I mean? Like, if you only lost 2 games and the 2 games that you lost have been to the same team, one by 15 and then the other by 4 or 3, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I would say yes, because they're in the SEC, of course. That alone would get you a pass.
That's what I was getting at.
If you only have two losses. And if there's another team in the SEC that only had 2 losses, outside of playing in the tournament, which I think happened, if there was like 4 or 5 of them, they would have been in as well.
Yeah.
Regardless of who those teams are.
I want to ask another question. Were you as surprised as I was on the limited, as a matter of fact, I'm not even sure he played at all, of Arch Manning in that game?
Yeah, I've been surprised by the limited play of Arch Manning for the last month. Because
especially in that overtime. It was.
He got in one play.
I was gonna say, well,
we're talking about because my thing is because Ewers is obviously hurt. That's the thing that surprised me. If Ewers is 100%, then it doesn't surprise me at all. But Ewers is obviously hurt, and they're still not playing it.
Didn't Arch get the first play in overtime?
I don't remember.
I remember.
He got the first play in overtime. They ran like a quarterback counter for 5 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then that Charlie speaks to the reason why he should have been playing more because they struggled to get 5 yards all day. So I listen. That's way above my pay grade. I just feel like if you got a quarterback with his skill set there, and he can give you that dynamic difference, why not use it more? I know you got a sense of loyalty to Ewers. I get it. I just in that to me it's all hands on deck in that moment. So
especially when Ewers
I
isn't
don't know.
healthy. If
And
he was
Ewers
healthy, I get it. But
Well,
he didn't have a great game to me, but whatever. I mean,
let's just say this. Before overtime, what was the score?
17,
16 all.
16 all, yeah.
So 16 all for 4 quarters. So you can't tell me the defense was that elite.
I'm just saying, Charlie. I'm just saying. Some people are gonna walk it was a defensive battle. I don't believe that. Yeah.
Some teams may want Carson back to play because he threw 3 interceptions in 3 possessions back to back, like in one drive.
I'm gonna be honest with you, Charlie, and I've said this before. I feel so bad for that kid because he should have left last year. He should have left last year when his stock was as high as it was probably going to get. And I do understand the lure of chasing the championship. I get it. I understand it. It makes sense in a micro bubble. But if for his long-term future, it probably, unless they win the national championship, this cost him millions of dollars. Because I right now, I don't know if Carson Beck is a 4th or 5th round pick. He may be a 6th or 7th round pick. Like he really, really cost himself.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, Penn State and Oregon. Listen, I'm gonna say the quiet part out loud once again. James Franklin, in the context of winning games, he is a great coach. In the context of winning the game, it is a travesty.
It has avoided it.
And I just wonder how much tolerance Penn State has. Now, I said this earlier this week. I'll repeat it again. He did the hardest thing that you could do at Penn State, which is revitalize that program, make it relevant again, and get them over the most horrific scandal in the history of college football. That's the hardest thing that had to be done. So in that regard, the man deserves a statue. Having said that, is he the guy that can get them to the next level? I don't know, man. I honestly don't know because he keeps banging his head up against this wall.
Let's first of all, we don't want to go to the land of I want to get better. Like I can find somebody better because we've seen that happen. This man has won how many games this year in the past couple of years?
He's good for 9-10 wins every season.
100. So
Yeah.
we're going to go and fire a guy who's winning 9 and 10 games a year to try to find somebody better.
Ohio State better do it.
In College Station. I mean, Penn State, of course, yes, but it's in College Station.
It's in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, it's in Pennsylvania. And I'm just saying, be aware. Like Nebraska did it, and they've been in the dungeon ever since, trying to find a coach to get them back to 9 and 10 wins. And they may have, an outlier here or there. But just the thought process of that, this game here was more of a defensive issue. Because offensively they were doing everything they need to do, but this is more of a defensive issue. But then again, it was more of an Oregon issue as well, because Oregon is offensively is a juggernaut.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
Yes.
you
They're
try
pretty
to
good.
you try to bottle that up. I mean, they got weapons on top of weapons, whether it's a run game, whether it's a quarterback, whether it's the wide receivers, tight ends. I mean, they have a juggernaut when it comes to offense. Defensively, they got to continue to try to put it together and work it. But from an offensive standpoint, they're going to be a tough out, especially if they're playing in indoor or great weather.
Yeah.
Which they will be.
Yes.
Yeah. And by the way, great.
No,
go ahead.
Penn State and Tennessee. I've said it multiple times on this show. Tennessee, both football and basketball, and Penn State and football. Those are just two programs, no matter who the coach has been, that I don't trust in big games, especially Tennessee. Yeah. I don't trust them in big games. They have the talent to do it. Penn State has the talent to do it, especially. And I was surprised. I did think they'd make a bigger push on defense. I was surprised they scored that much. That score shocked me on both ends of that. I thought that was going to be a more low scoring game, but shout out to Penn State's offense for stepping up because they did step up. It's just, I don't know what it is, but those two programs, when it comes down to big games, I don't trust them.
Well, I'll tell you who I do trust on Penn State. Shout out to number 44, Tyler Warren. That kid probably played himself way up the draft board. He is the tight end. He is a huge man.
He'll be playing.
And he looked fantastic. He'll
probably stay in the state of Pennsylvania because the Eagles are going to need a tight end next year.
The Eagles, they get everybody. So it would not surprise me if Howie Roseman got Tyler Warren for sure.
It doesn't amaze me how well they draft.
They draft very well. And then, of course, the best game of the weekend in college sports was Clemson SMU. It's funny. Clemson has basically played the last 4 or 5 games of the year exactly the same way. They come out on fire in that first half, and it looks like they're going to run away with the game. And then slowly but surely,
they start Clemsoning.
They start Clemsoning the game away, and the team comes back and makes the game. And some of those they've won, and others of those they've lost. And this one, I want to give Kevin Jennings a lot of credit and SMU a lot of credit for battling back in this game because that first half they couldn't get anything going right. And Kevin looked. I think the moment overwhelmed them. And that first half, and I think they just weren't prepared for the shock of all of that in that first half. And that second half, they looked settled. They looked like the SMU team we've been watching all season.
Yeah,
they fought back.
Yeah, they fought back.
They needed to do. I mean, they're in the championship game for a reason. They've been very good defensively all year. And it showed up in the second half, essentially, their defense. I mean, they had a strip sack early on. So I think Clemson's defense scored a touchdown.
Yeah.
To, within that 21 points that they scored in the first half. But I was just happy that SMU fought back, because that was their only saving grace for the playoffs, 1 and 2. It turned out to be a very good game, and it showed their character of their team and the culture that Coach Lashley is building there, which is good for SMU, but not sure how good it is for the ACC.
SMU's coming.
But I think what it does is it elevates, everyone else, because SMU being a newcomer of the ACC, that helps elevate the ACC. Because a lot of people saw them as a lower tier major, which I guess their conference was, in a sense. It wasn't in the Power 5, but they've made themselves into a Power 4 team over the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%.
So they're going to be there in the end. To me, the ACC and the Big 12 are very similar
Mm-hmm.
in a lot of ways because you have good teams up and down the conference, like
Yes.
quality teams up and down the conference, and anyone can really win the conference, even though Clemson has won it, quite a few times here recently. But having SMU in the mix and some of the other teams going to be, fighting for that spot next year. And the Big 12 is, you don't know. Like, you just don't know. Like,
the ACC and the Big 12 are so similar. And like you kind of root for each other, I think, at this point, because the SEC and the Big Ten is trying to form such a monopoly. They kind of keeping the ACC and the Big 12 in it just because they kind of have to, because there's so many teams. But you kind of root for each other, and that's the other thing that was irritating about ESPN this morning, talking about North Carolina's just going to come in and all of a sudden they can win the ACC. I'm like, hold on, SMU's coming. Right. SMU is not going anywhere. Louisville's building something over there with Brown. Clemson's still going to be Clemson. Miami's always going to be funny. And then Florida State's not going to be down forever. And so just to automatically say that, to me, just something you really don't know what you're talking about when it comes to the ACC.
But I will say this, Kendrick. I will say this, Charlie. I think if ever there was a time for the ACC to band together and go try to force ESPN back to the negotiation table, it'd be now. You want to do that before.
Belichick helps with that.
You want to do that now before Belichick starts playing, because the lure of what he could potentially do. Because in year one, that's must see TV.
Yeah,
that's must see TV. You got to see what he's gonna do. Now, in year two,
I didn't even think about
so much.
that. I didn't think about that, Lloyd, till you just said that. Belichick's good for the whole conference.
100%. That is must see TV. Now, for the whole conference.
For the whole conference. Because of that contract.
Yeah.
They're going to be in demand. People are going to want to watch North Carolina football, at least this first year, to see what it's like, just like with Colorado last year. They're going to want to see what does it look like. And they're going to be ready to either jump on the bandwagon or ready to just kill them if they lose a game.
Let's be clear. One college game that you can book right now is Duke versus North Carolina. To book that, you can write that in right now. That's gonna happen. Nick Saban and Bill Belichick standing on the same dais on college game day. Done.
I mean, legitimately, depending on what week one looks like, that could be the first week.
That could be the opening game. Exactly. So my thing is, go back to ESPN now and start having some conversations and see. Because if he starts losing, all bets are off.
Right. But even then, though, people are going to watch this because they're going to want to watch a dumpster fire. So I do think, I mean, that is a leverage chip, but it also could be a leverage chip for North Carolina to go to the Big Ten.
Well, also that too. Which is why the ACC needs to go do it now, because North Carolina has all the leverage right now. They can. Yeah. You don't think the SEC or the Big Ten would want North Carolina in there from a basketball and football perspective? That's a no-brainer.
And a big shout out to SMU gambling on themselves, basically paying to be in the ACC. Now they're going to be a commodity because they're in that Dallas market. If they can be successful, I mean, the ACC low key probably backed into a good situation. I don't give the ACC himself any credit for it. Belichick coming and then SMU coming in and being an instant success in that Dallas market helps out a lot.
100%.
To me, the other team that they should have been courting is Memphis.
Yes.
I think they need to add Memphis and UConn.
Yeah, and Memphis and UConn for sure. And those West Coast teams, they should go to the Pac. Go back to the Pac-12.
Go home. Go home.
I can see that happening.
Because
To me,
Stanford and
it's
Cal
all
added nothing. Well, they didn't add anything. They didn't add anything to the conference. Now in volley, if you want to say in volleyball they did, and okay, whatever.
And
Basketball.
Stanford will in women's
And
basketball.
basketball and will, right? But
there's other programs that can.
It's not that.
move the needle. Yeah.
But you add a Memphis and a UConn. Memphis is up.
Now you look solid.
Memphis
Yeah.
is solid in football. You already play every team in the ACC already plays UConn in football anyway.
Right.
That's a seamless transition.
And UConn's basketball resume. I mean, to me, just a no-brainer.
And they're on the East Coast. Like
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're close.
Exactly. In our BLEAV games, we got Packers and Lions, which ended up being an outstanding game.
How about the Lions play the Packers last week and the Bills this week?
Man, they got a rough down the stretch. They really do.
Wow.
It's a rough down the stretch.
they're still 12-1.
Right.
Yeah.
I love the Lions. I love watching.
I do
them play. I love Dan Campbell. He's crazy. I love that too.
Oh, listen, he may have the gamble of all gambles. Like, let's be clear.
He plays the game like we play in Madden.
Yeah, 4th and 1. Come on, man.
4th and 1. I don't care where I'm at.
Yeah, that's crazy.
We're gonna get
That was crazy.
But he'll do it on 4th and 5 though. That's what's crazy.
He does not care. If he believes he can get that yards, he's going for
He
it.
believes in this squad.
Yep. Cleveland and the Steelers. Jameis tried to Jameis it at the end. He tried, but then he Jameis it at the end.
Jameis.
Yeah. Here's what I love about Jameis.
I love Jameis.
Jameis is going to give you both. He's going to give you a dynamic moment. That pass that he made to Njoku was outstanding.
Yes.
And then that interception was a backbreaker. Like, that's Jameis. That's the ABCs of Jameis.
Jameis has me watching Hard Knocks, and I never watch Hard Knocks, but I'm watching it because I'm gonna get Jameis and I'm gonna get Lamar.
If you don't love Jameis Winston, something's wrong with you. You're the problem. You are the problem. I'm just telling you.
Charlie, you gotta get Jameis on in the offseason.
Please, we gotta make that happen.
Begging for you, my brother.
Yeah, we gotta make that happen. Seattle and the Cardinals, a great game. Seattle keeps finding ways.
Did I pick Seattle?
Listen, you did. Charlie, I'm getting to the T's, Charlie. We getting there. We're building.
Charlie's cutting through.
He's cutting through. He's really cutting through today. I don't know what's going on. And then I don't know how the Chiefs keep doing this. I honestly don't know. It is the wildest thing ever. Shout out to Mike Tirico for the doink for the division. That is a great line.
That was because to me, there's no funnier sound in sports than the doink anyway.
Yeah.
For to bank in, you banked in a game-winning field goal. You have to literally kill that team. You have to get out and beat them by 100.
They are Arnold Schwarzenegger and the Terminator. They're like
Jason and Freddy and Michael Myers. It's like people are running as hard as they can and they're just walking and catching up to them.
They catch up to them. Here's what's funny to me about that team. At the end of a game that's tied against the Chiefs, two things are going to happen. One, the defense is going to the Chiefs are going to send all their receivers out on a deep pattern, which is going to open up every running lane so that Patrick Mahomes can run 15 to 20 yards. That's going to happen. You know that going into the game. You probably studied it all week, and yet it still consistently happens every week. It is astonishing.
Because he's so much faster than he looks.
It's astonishing. And then the second thing is they're going to find some field goal kicker from God knows where who can hit 50-yard kicks. I don't know how they're finding them. I don't know where they're finding them at.
Or they'll block a field goal.
Or they're going to block a field goal. This has been the most bizarre football season that I've watched them have since Patrick Mahomes has been there. But it's
been a bizarre football season in general. I mean, that Cowboys game the other night.
that is awesome. Bro, I didn't even want to. You notice I didn't even text you about that. Because that was the wildest ending.
I was happy. One step closer to Genty, my brother.
Oh my goodness. Listen,
I've been saying I want him to lose the rest of the games.
Charlie, I started a hashtag endure for Shador.
Who is that for?
For my Giants. Endure for Shador. I'm so angry. I'm so angry with the Raiders right now because they're better than this. Raiders, I need you to live up to your full potential. What are you doing? Antonio, my brother.
They took up your hashtag.
They are enduring what you're doing right now. Because it feels like they're not going to win another game. It really feels like they're not going to win another game.
They are competing, though.
They got arguably the best defensive end in the game. And they're terrible. And you don't want to leave either.
Yeah. But I'll say this. Cam Ward is probably going to be our consolation prize, which is not necessarily a bad consolation prize. So
I'm not so
it ain't Shador, but listen, anything is better than what we had, I think.
Right,
so
at this point, yes.
At this point, right. Because Drew Lock is awful. Oh man.
So they are so bad. I mean, they're so bad. Everybody keeps. At least the Jets have been competitive, and they do have. At least Aaron Rodgers has been going up 300-yard games, but the Giants, oof.
No. Hold on. My guys have been competitive. My quarterbacks have been bad. They've been awful. Just awful. But my guys, they almost won the game this weekend. Now, only us can have a field goal blocked on the 10-yard line, but whatever. We don't want to win these games anyway. It's fine. All right.
This is therapy.
So that leaves us with final records. Charlie with third place, 110 wins.
Last place.
Well, only because there was only 3 of us. That's the only reason.
Congratulations.
Yes. Kendrick had a
first place.
Well, don't worry about that, Charlie. It's not. Let's just say it was a good hard for all of us.
The math still doesn't math on any of this.
That works fine. You know what? You know why it doesn't work for you? Because you don't believe I came back and caught you, but I did.
No, that's not what's getting me. What's getting me? We had the same amount of wins, but Charlie and I have 2 more losses.
Because I had 2 weeks where I didn't lose a game.
So you won by
and I won the BLEAV.
You won the tiebreaker?
Yes, I did.
Is that what it is? So okay.
Yes. I have 2 less losses.
I'm not questioning. I'm just
You're questioning because it hurts, and I get it.
No, I'm not questioning the validity. I'm just questioning.
So the scriptures are correct. You can't be last to first and first to be last.
I'm just saying. It happens from time to time. Kendrick.
Yes. Yeah. So that's my Seminoles next year.
Wait a minute. Hold on, Charles. Hold on.
My Seminoles.
You don't even believe in your new free agent.
Last to first.
You literally just came on and said this morning you don't think this was a good.
Like I said, he can improve. If he improves his passing, and then again, he may be a quarterback that runs for 1,000 yards and pass for 1,500 yards.
I'm just glad my win could inspire your newfound optimism.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yes. Thank you.
Yes, you are a beacon of hope. You're a beacon of hope, Lloyd.
That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I do it for you guys. All right. Next week we'll get into our picks because that'll be our last show, probably for the year, actually, because it's Christmas and New Year's and all that stuff. So next Thursday we'll make our uh, college football playoff predictions. Although I'll be honest with you, the college football playoffs have really killed it for me for the bowl games. Like I do not care about any bowl.
Oh, they're pointless. They're
Yeah,
pointless.
I don't care at all.
Tyler Shuck is already declared for the draft. He's not playing.
Well crafted letter, by the way.
Yeah, Ja'Cory Brooks he said he's going to the draft, but he hasn't said whether or not he's playing. I'm going to go out on a limb and say he's probably not playing.
I would think so. Yeah, he's a junior.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then Jamari Johnson has hit the transfer portal.
Really?
Yes, he announced that yesterday. So
That's
I'll throw this, even though I know we've been on for almost 2 hours, and I hate to throw out another subject at the end of the show.
Oh goodness. Let me pull the sign down. There you go.
What do you think about playing the bowl games the first game of the season?
Ooh.
The teams that qualify that are bowl eligible, go ahead and give them those practices, because that's all the coaches care about anyway, is those extra practices at the end of the season. You don't really care about the game either. The game, because nobody's going to play in these games. Why would they?
Yeah.
But you play them at the first of the season, everybody's going to play.
I think it's a fantastic idea.
I've seen that
I
floating.
think that's a fantastic idea.
I can't take credit for it. I've seen that floating around. But
Yeah.
I do think that's a good idea that generates more excitement in the bowl games. They'll all be in at least not cold games. Some of them will be hot as hell, but they won't be.
Here's why I think it's a fantastic idea. Number one, it saves the bowl idea, so that's cool. But
Generates
also
excitement for the start of the season.
generates excitement for the start of the season. It actually sends it into a fever pitch. But then here's the other part: we're clearly headed towards 16 teams. That's where we're headed.
Mhm.
That's the stopping point for this whole thing. So why not spend all of December into January doing that? Then, because here's what I don't like about what just happened with the CFP. The first 4 teams get a month to get healthy,
Mhm.
as opposed to the other 8 teams who will have to play and navigate all the way to that second round game. That is a tremendously unfair advantage.
Well,
But that's where we are.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
the goal is being the first 4. I mean that.
But it's
Look
hard
at
to be in the
Ohio
first.
Because look at
But it's
Ohio
hard to be in the
State.
first 4.
Ohio State didn't even have to play in the Big Ten championship.
Right, so they get next week. And it's hard to be in the first 4 when 2 of the first 4 spots are already gone before you ever even start. Maybe even 3. Like
That's why I'm
it's
wondering how long is it going to be before Notre Dame makes a stink? Because the way that they've set up, they can't be above 5, so they have to play the first week of the playoff every year, regardless of what they do.
which is why I think
Change
6.
that.
They're going to change that.
Which is why I think 6. Yeah, I think that's why I think 16 is coming. Yeah.
Even though I think it's fair because Notre Dame doesn't play in the conference. If you don't want it that way, get in the conference.
I agree, but I also think Notre Dame is a legitimate 3 or 4 seed in reality.
This year, yeah.
Yeah, this year, yeah.
Notre Dame can win this whole thing.
Notre Dame could absolutely win it, or they could be out in the first round.
Indiana can go in there and kick their behind.
Right, they could be out in the first round too. It's both. It's all of it. Yeah.
I think they should play 11 regular season games since they're playing all these, and I mean it's not benefit all teams, but the teams that are in a conference, 11 games. I mean that's enough because even with the at the FCS level, they have a playoff. They have a playoff as well. So they're playing.
They're playing 10, right?
Yeah, they probably play less games. So I would just say take a game off. And I don't know where that leaves revenue for the schools, but
that's the thing is like these schools lose money on these bowl games anyway. Even in the old setup, they lost money on these bowl games.
But that's why Kendrick's solution makes so much sense, because if you put it at the front end, those games are going to be sold out all across the country. And so now You go 11 games, then play 16 teams, then forget the conference championship. That's over. Just do 16 teams, reseed to 16.
They ain't gonna get rid of those conference championships.
Well, but to me, why not? Because why?
Because they're a money grab. That's what that is.
But if you got 16
no, Judge, logistically, I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
But
no, I hear what you're saying.
It's just a money grab. There's no reason for conference tournaments in basketball. It's stupid, but it's a money grab.
That's true. That's a good point. That's a great point. We may revisit this. That's actually a good topic.
Because like Louisville's bowl matchup, Louisville versus Washington, in a normal season, that's a draw. But by them playing in El Paso, Texas on New Year's Eve at 2:00 in the afternoon,
I do not care.
I don't care. Not covered.
I do not care.
I'm sitting there mad because now I got to work New Year's Eve.
Right. That's the part right there. So it's going to be interesting to see how this evolves over the next 3 to 5 years. But I think we're headed toward a grand overhaul of the entire thing. And I think that's as viable a solution as I've heard. Actually,
16 team playoff and play the bowl games at the beginning of the season.
Start the season off all across the country. I'm all in.
People from Louisville will go to El Paso, Texas in August.
No question.
You know,
people will travel everywhere. The Rose Bowl on September 25th. Come on, man. That's good football. That's good TV.
And it's beautiful in California around there.
Yeah, that's a great weekend vacation right there. So, all right. Who are we shouting out, gentlemen? Who are we shouting out this week?
I need to jump off here shortly. But,
okay. We'll let you go first then.
I have
let's do it.
One of my I'd like to congratulate or shout out Trace McGrady.
Okay.
He's partner for the Buffalo Bills. A minority partner, I think he is.
Oh, nice.
For the Buffalo Bills.
T-Mac.
So that's T-Mac.
Isn't it him and Vince?
Say again?
I thought I saw it was him and Vince. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I thought
it's a couple of them.
Yeah.
A couple. It's another partner as well.
Shout out to those brothers. Just nice guys, just good dudes.
Yeah. So grateful for them being able to do that. And then my last one is for my man Willie Simmons, becoming the new head coach at FIU. He's
oh wow, I didn't hear about that. Yeah.
He's from this area.
Mm-hmm.
Here, of course, he was at FAMU. Head coach won the SWAC, won the Black College, the Celebration Bowl at FAM before he left to go to Duke last year as the running backs coach, and now he's the new head coach at FIU. So,
congratulations,
Shotgun Willie. He'll do well.
Wow, nice.
Played at Clemson.
Nice. That's awesome. That's really awesome. Okay. All right. Charlie, if you need to jump, we appreciate you, man. You know that.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right, man.
All right, brother. We got you. All right.
I'll give my shout out to University of Louisville women's volleyball. They play in the Sweet 16 tonight.
Okay.
Against Purdue. They had to play at Freedom Hall because the U of L women have a game against Grambling State tonight, so they had to move the NCAA tournament to Freedom Hall.
Really?
Why they couldn't just play that Grambling State game at 11 o'clock in the morning? Because
right, like nobody. With all due respect to Grambling State, anybody going to that game?
And I guarantee you they're already here anyway. So
right,
but that's what it is. But they played in Freedom. Last time that Louisville went to the Final Four in volleyball, the regional was in Freedom Hall.
Okay, so
because U of L basketball had a game over in the Yum Center. So
gotcha.
they play Purdue tonight in the second game. So it's supposed to start around 9:30-ish. You know, volleyball though, so it's probably going to be closer to 10. And then if they advance to the Final Four is at the KFC Yum Center. So
that's right, baby.
Have a very real opportunity to host the Final Four of the national championship, be home for the Final Four of the national championship in the KFC Yum Center. So shout out.
Man, that is a great advantage.
Danny Busboom Kelly, one of the nicest coaches and one of the funnier coaches you'll ever meet.
And friend of the pod.
Yes, and
Yes.
probably after the tournament's over, we could probably have her on the show.
We'll have her back on. Yeah. Okay. So I have a very strange starting shout out. Shout out to the Pine Bluff, Arkansas Fire Department. And the reason why I'm shouting them out, because 2 doors down from me was a 5-alarm fire where the fire had gotten so big it was literally blazing over the trees that are in my neighbor's yard. It was at least 30 to 40 feet high. It was one of the scariest things, Kendrick, I've ever seen in my life.
Like apocalyptic stuff.
It was listen, I wish I'd have thought. I'm not one of those people that when I see a tragic situation going on, I pull out my camera to film it. So I was more in the moment, but it was one of the wildest moments I've ever witnessed in my life. But yes, they jumped on it. They put that fire out, and I want to shout out to that fire department because that was crazy. And then my last one is to the Miami Dolphins. And I say that because nothing has given me greater pleasure this season. In a season where my New York Giants have not played the best, nothing has given me greater pleasure as to watching the demise of Aaron Rodgers at this stage of his career.
Saw some shocking interwave news. Go ahead.
I just saw your face, so we definitely gonna talk about that after the show. But yes, watching Aaron Rodgers come to his ultimate demise this season has brought great joy to my life, and I am thankful for the Dolphins for putting the final nail in the coffin this past weekend.
It was hilarious to watch because he played well. That's what makes it that's more funny is when he's played.
He did play better. I will say that he did play better this past game.
He threw for the first time in years.
Yeah, and still it was not enough.
Those two though, because I'm such a fan of the Le Batard show, it's funny when the Dolphins lose too.
Oh really?
Because they're the kings of getting one win. And they get so hyped up about their team, especially when it comes to the Hurricanes. But with the Dolphins, they are constantly optimistic, but they want them to be good so bad. So the show predicted this run that they're on because of the schedule.
Yeah.
But when they do lose, when eventually they do lose, Dan's not the one. It's the rest of the show that.
There's something about Miami fans that they constantly believe that, much like Kentucky fans, they constantly believe that this year is their year.
Well, Miami fans, they think the whole world is against them in all of their sports, and I'm like, that's not true. A lot of they think everybody's against the Heat. Like nobody's thinking about the Heat in that way.
I got to be honest with you. No one cares about Miami sports. Like it's not. Nobody's staying up late to think about Miami sports.
Nobody hates Miami because they're not that relevant.
No.
People hate Duke because Duke's relevant. People hate Ohio State because Ohio State's relevant. Kentucky, Cowboys, so much. Nobody's checking for Miami like that.
Maybe in 1985 or 2000 when that 2000 team was good, and that was just the Hurricanes. And maybe when LeBron was playing for the Heat. Okay.
But it still wasn't to the extent that they act like it was.
No, it's not that serious. People don't think about Miami nothing. Baseball, basketball, football, nothing. The only reason we thought about you this year is because Cam Ward was actually really good.
Yeah.
So, that's about it. But anyway, shout out to Miami Dolphins. I appreciate you so much.
I do like to.
You're the best.
I hope he can stay healthy because I do like to.
Listen, every time that dude takes off running, I get nervous.
And Devon Achane has been winning me fantasy football games for 2 years now. He's low key one of the best running backs in the league. Gets 0 pub.
He's good for a 15, 20 point game for sure. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'd be crazy not to do this. Shout out to Sam Darnold.
Yes.
Gotta give you love, brother. Gotta give you love. Because for some reason, I don't know why, but in our fantasy league, he was available this past weekend when Lamar was sitting. So won that game. Thanks, Sam Darnold.
What do you do if you're the Vikings?
Oh man, I know we gotta go, but you know what? We're going offline on that one. Love you guys. Appreciate you guys. You're the best. And thank you for rocking with Believe in the ACC. But I got my Sam Darnold answer when we get done.
You've been listening to Believe in the ACC with Charlie Ward, Lloyd Spence, and Kendrick Haskins. Please like, follow, subscribe, and share from the Noisemakers page on Facebook and on YouTube. And you can also listen to us on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, and wherever podcasts can be heard. And join us next time on Believe in the ACC.